Okay, guys, we have dusted off all the equipment and we're back recording podcasts. Hopefully it won't be another long break like we've just had. But besides all the stuff that's happened in 2020, CrossFit has not disappointed either. I guess that's the one thing about CrossFit. It's never boring to follow the sport. It's been a crazy year on top of everything else that's going on. So as you've seen, the title of this episode is What Happened to CrossFit in 2020? And who else to bring on board for that podcast? Back to the usual trio, I guess. Cal?
Thank you.
Welcome
Good to be back.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me back.
No worries. And we obviously had to have Nick as well, who's the fact checker and really the only one that's followed everything that's happened this year.
The biggest frother.
Yeah, what a title.
Can froth. Yeah. All right. So we are going to talk about the games and the athletes and everything that's happening a little bit, but we just wanted to summarize, I guess, some of the negative stuff that's happened with CrossFit in 2020. Yeah, changes. It's hopefully led to some positives, but there definitely have been some controversy, I guess, this year for CrossFit. Nick, do you want to kick us? Oh, sorry, I should start this with Cal actually, because you wrote the list. Do you want to kick off the first part we have here? What happened at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, so I guess if we rewind back to beginning of May. So I think this was kind of after COVID started. A lot of affiliates had to shut down. And one affiliate decided to de-affiliate. I think it was in Seattle, wrote a really detailed email to Greg Glassman just outlining her rationale. And you can actually Google it, you can read it. It's, I think, quite a fair and reasonable email. And I think giving some really good feedback given, how much this affiliate had invested in CrossFit and the brand over a period of more than 10 years. Greg Glassman responded to that email, you could argue, in a highly inappropriate way. So very disparaging.
At least quite rude.
Quite rude. And I would say in no way was it an appropriate way to treat essentially a customer or a long-term client. So that was a big one. I think just showed a certain, attitude or position that he has.
It's interesting because, if you look at someone who, if you want to stop what you're doing, and this affiliate owner decided, I'm done, could have just stopped payment, could have been a one-liner email, but they felt enough to contact him and say, hey, I've been here long enough, I've been around this long. FYI, put it on paper. And I'm sure that just wasn't written in 5 minutes and just fired off. There was a bit of thought behind it, and it had some key points. And then just to be slammed down like that is, I think it just reflects on Greg Glassman and that on a broader scale across CrossFit HQ and how they handle things. So.
And I think, again, all of that stuff is available publicly, so you can go to Morning Chalk Up if you want to read the email. I'm not going to repeat what he said. I think that's up to him to write that stuff. But if you want to read it, it's quite confronting, I would say. Yeah.
And sadly, for someone who's followed CrossFit quite long, when I read it, I wasn't even surprised. Because there has been a history of this previously. I mean, CrossFit is 10 years or a bit more than 10 years now. And when I read it, I was just thinking, poor affiliate owner, because yes, you've put together this well thought out email to have a slight complaint, but you're just not going to get anywhere. And I think that's one of the things that I'm hoping is changing now within CrossFit, is that this kind of feedback is going to actually get taken seriously and not just get shut down in a very rude way, because that has happened before. It's not the first time, for sure.
I think the direct reply to this would be with Rosa, the affiliate, the zones that they have now with the people in charge of those areas that are the representatives of that community, and then go back to I want to essentially say a board, but they must have meetings. I'm not 100% on the structure of how it works, but I know the U.S. is broken down into areas, and then those areas have someone. So at least you have someone to go to there's a little bit more structure instead of just going straight to
It seems like Matt Swift is doing that for us here because he's posted out asking for feedback and, there are changes happening. So he wants to include, I think more affiliate owners. So, hopefully that's good. But it didn't start great.
That caused a big stir in the CrossFit community and I think CrossFit affiliates.
But it hadn't even started yet.
Yeah, Greg, I mean, why stop there?
Yeah.
And then he made a tweet on, it was the 7th of June, and the tweet, what was it in response to again?
Yeah, so I read up on this a little bit and tried to remind myself again. So the way I understood it is that, not only was globally everyone going through COVID-19, but also in the States, the racial, I guess the subject around race is still huge and there's a lot of talk around it. And Greg Glassman responded to a tweet which said, I should probably look it up so I don't stuff this explanation up.
And as Kim's looking that up, that's June 7th. Why?
It's so soon after.
In my head, it just feels like this all took place
years ago.
In March or April, not in June.
Yeah, it seems like ages ago. Well, and I'm kind of glad it seems like ages ago because this is pretty bad.
Yeah.
But so Greg Glassman responds to a tweet. Oh, I should start this with saying Greg Glassman didn't. He had an opinion around COVID-19 where he was very skeptical to it and didn't really necessarily believe in the dangers of COVID-19. Whether or not he thought it was a conspiracy or something like that, I wouldn't be able to tell. But he was, publicly quite criticizing what was happening around it. So there was a tweet which said racism is a public health issue in the US, and he responded by saying it's Floyd-19. Which indicates that he compared COVID-19, something he didn't believe in, with racism, and also sounds like he didn't believe in that. And that really caused a shitstorm quickly.
Yep.
I've never seen, like I said before, I've followed CrossFit for a long time, more than 10 years, and I've never seen a response to anything like this.
That was the beginning of the avalanche.
Yes.
So I think of the email, there's a couple of crackles. The tweet was the avalanche.
And the biggest, I try to keep track of how many affiliates de-affiliated and how quickly that happened. But I think I just tracked it for like 48 hours and there was more than it was almost 3,000 by the last time I looked that de-affiliated very quickly. Yeah. And that's out of globally, I think there's just over 10,000 or something like that. So it's a huge percentage.
But I think people used this was the straw that broke the camel's back in that they were just fed up with it. And what in America, what speaks loudest in a consumer culture and a free market is take your business elsewhere. And that's the only way. With Glassman and how CEO, owner, 100%, how else do you get anywhere? Yeah. How else do you make it change happen?
Yeah. Well, and I thought the biggest one, I didn't watch all of the responses to the tweet, and affiliate owners, a lot of them made a public video on Instagram or social media channels and said, they're de-affiliating because of this and this. But Rich Froning's I watched, and that was pretty strong. He's, one of the key figures in the public, key faces, I should say, of, who people think CrossFit is. Yep. And he de-affiliated pretty quickly. But I think what's happened now, though, because now it's all, we're going to go through some more of the changes, but a lot of affiliates have gone back and affiliated again.
They have.
Which shows the strength of the CrossFit community and that it's not just about one person or a few handful of people.
Yep.
CrossFit isn't Greg Glassman, and it's not Dave Castro, it's not Rich Froning, it's way more than that. Yep. It's a huge global community, actually.
Yep. Yeah. I think what was more visible were a lot of the big name athletes as well taking a stand. So games athletes saying, well, if Greg's in, I'm out of the games. So they're all posting, I'm out.
Yeah.
So notably, heaps of athletes.
Noah Olsen, Chandler Smith, obviously,
Yeah, Katrin, David's daughter, she was
a lot of females, And there were some...
Brooke Wells.
Interestingly, there are quite a few stories coming out. Around previous, old experiences with Greg Glassman, which I thought was... I should say, not confirming what you thought about him from before, but it was a bit in that direction where you're like, well, I'm not that surprised, really.
Yeah.
Well,
crazy.
there's a few podcasts that people coming out, interviews. Everyone's just started rehashing. But it surprises me, how long have we been doing this? 5 years? If something like that?
You've done it more than that, haven't you?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, wow.
Five, 6 years.
How many
something like
opens
that.
have you done?
I don't even know. I'd have to count 5 or 6. Something.
Not
It feels
fifth year.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what it surprises me is that everyone was like, oh, well, that's Greg Glassman.
Yeah, well, that was my attitude, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And how everyone had a story or everyone knew someone who had this, and not just Greg. There's that inner circle that operates around Greg that all kind of seems a little bit cringeworthy. But, the people that have been around for the 10 plus years, everyone kind of out there. It's not, but everyone just put up with it.
Which is, it's so sad, but that is one of the biggest positives out of this year is I'm super curious to see where this sport, and not just the sport, but where the affiliates and everything's going without him at the steering wheel, because he obviously, well, for the last few years, he's owned 100% of it. So he's really had a stronghold on everything that's been going on. Yeah. So
just on that, does Eric Rosa own 100%?
Wow, I was going to say exactly
I don't
the same
think
thing.
we know. I don't think we know. But maybe just to rewind a little bit, I think after that big shitstorm, essentially Greg Glassman's hand was forced to sell the business because number one, the financial impact to CrossFit. Number two, I think losing all of those athletes and the value of the CrossFit Games, all of that. So his hand was forced.
100%, but he tried because he
tried to just step down.
And then put Castro, and everyone was like, "Come on, nice.
See you later."
Because then I think still then affiliates are de-affiliating, and that I think when he put Castro as the CEO, that's when the athletes started dumping it.
Yeah,
and then that following week or a week or two later.
And who else left? Nicole Carroll left, who's one of the big chiefs in the business. So anyway, he sold.
Yeah. So one of the big questions we said before is like, where is he now? I wonder.
Where has Greg Glassman gone?
Yeah,
he is out in the wilderness,
California somewhere.
Who knows?
Fighting Coca-Cola and
Pepsi. Big question: how much did he sell it for? So it's probably going to live quite comfortably for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Well, he's deleted his Twitter account.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I should mention that. Yeah, a few people deleted their socials during some controversy, but yeah, he's not the only one. What do we know about Eric Rosa? That was going to be my next questions. Besides, he's Nick's twin.
Yeah.
Former
Nick's lookalike,
high flying tech executive. So I think he built up a tech company, sold it to Oracle. Probably made a mozza. Worked in Oracle for a while. And then I don't know if he was doing his own thing or was it still in Oracle when this whole thing happened?
He was an affiliate owner too for 10 years.
Yeah.
He had 2 gyms, I believe. If I go and fact check that, I'm not 100% sure. But he was definitely an affiliate owner, but I believe he had 2 affiliates. So he's been within the community for a very long time.
Yeah. But it's a big question. I mean, is it 100% Eric Rosa's money he's put in, or is there some private equity going on in the background? I would say yes, there is. But I mean, he lists himself as the owner of CrossFit on his Instagram profile. So
yeah, well, the official statement is that he has bought 100% of the company. Yeah. But you're right. Like, we don't know who's. Yeah. If some other people have invested into that. Yeah, he's the owner, or I guess still the owner of a CrossFit gym in Boulder, Colorado. Doesn't say the name of it, but yeah, it seems like he's been in the CrossFit community for a while.
Yeah, the best thing about Eric is he actually does CrossFit. He posts workouts. He posted him doing one of the games workouts, the friendly Fran. Yeah, got a decent time.
Well, I think
Greg Glassman.
No, but I think
I've seen him lift a barbell.
Greg's methodology for CrossFit had diverged, right? And we talked about this a lot here in the gym. I mean, he was on a pathway of looking at improving the health and well-being of
society.
And taking away from more of what we see day to day in most affiliates. which is, working out, CrossFit, the
Frothing.
games. Yeah, frothing, like.
Yep.
So, there's all kinds of criticism with the living room workouts, with the paint cans and all that.
Yeah, what happened with it? I mean, that was actually a great point. What happened with the CrossFit Media in 2020?
Well, then, yeah.
And that's been one of the aspects that I've loved about the company and the sport is that, and actually quite early, they stated that they were a media company, not a fitness company. And the media has been awesome.
Yeah.
And then that might have been in 2019. They just fired everyone. Was it 2020 as well?
2020. I think it was March because Talking Elite Fitness guys.
Yeah, they just fired everyone.
Oh, yeah. It was like 2 big foul swoops.
Yeah.
It was 100 staff gone.
And then the only media they came out were these home workouts that looked like it was a 70s sitcom.
Yeah.
And they were lifting
It was just
gallons
bizarre.
of like blue cleaning liquid or something. So
the
bad.
polar opposite of what we had, I guess, become conditioned to. I guess.
But I think the cool thing about that, even though hopefully now I think a lot of them have been rehired and the CrossFit is probably going to, go back to their old ways within the media realm, is that all the guys that kind of lost their jobs, they just started their own thing. Yeah. I mean, Buttery Bros, of course, Talking Elite Fitness.
Yep.
It shows a lot of the personalities that are in the community and how agile they are and quickly can pivot and just, do the best of the situation. Yeah. I think that was pretty cool.
Yep.
God, see, look how much that whole media thing just kind of got wiped to the side. When was that again?
Yeah, it's been the longest year, that's for sure. I also listened to an interesting thing with Dave Castro on Talking Fitness on that podcast. And he said, well, the way it sounded is like Eric Rosa is fully supporting the games compared to what some previous owners did.
Yeah.
And they really want to build it back up to where, I guess, the height of where it was before, which they were on such a good roll for ages. Yeah. So that's super exciting. Obviously, they're not going to happen this year. Yeah.
But you have to, I think something that we can all hope for is that Rosa, being a businessman, having a bit better head on his shoulders when it comes to the business of CrossFit and promoting CrossFit, and not such a, with the blinders on, focusing on the health and well-being aspect, that Glassman really wanted to make a social change for people, and that CrossFit was a cure-all for America's ailments, that hopefully he will kind of steer it back in a direction where you can have both of them, both aspects of CrossFit, as in the health and well-being, and then the competitive frothing side. Yep. And he's a businessman. He's going to want to not just spend money and make no money.
Yeah. Well, I always thought, well, I guess I wasn't always sure about it, but I always thought that the games and the affiliates, it worked hand in hand. If the games were doing well and they were marketed well, the affiliates were doing well. And likewise, the other way around, when the affiliates were doing well, obviously that brings more spectators into the sport because they're interested in it from the get-go. Yeah. And it seems like Eric Rosa has that opinion as well, whereas I don't think Greg Glassman did at all. I mean, a quote from Dave Castro is that basically someone, just swapped their rug off under their feet with the budgeting for the games, that wasn't really a priority. And it seems like that's come back now.
And I may have misunderstood this, but I think Dave Castro has now been placed in a full-time position managing the games, where before, I think it was double hatting between being a director of training with Nicole Carroll and doing the games as like a bit of a side gig. Yeah. But now I think it's like full-time. And you can see it, like he's kind of come out on the front foot. He's doing a lot more publicity, a lot more podcasts.
He has been
so
more
there seems to be a renewed
visible.
focus. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a great change.
Yeah.
So let's delve into the games. What happened with the games in 2020?
Do we want to?
Did we do the? There was no Open this year, was there? No, because that was end of 2019.
No, there was. Wasn't it this summer when the gym opened up? Or was
But that was last year.
That was 2019.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any huge public Open.
No Open.
2020.
No, yes, right, because we did October last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the first time in the new.
Yeah.
So Nick, did they use? So they picked for the first stage of the 2020 CrossFit Games.
Yeah, from that Open.
They picked 30 athletes, 30 males, 30 females. Was that from the Open?
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was 30 or 20 from the Open. I'd have to refresh my memory. I can't.
I think it was 30.
And then and then they started off with Dubai as the first sanctional, and then there's the China.
But didn't all that just got scrapped? The results from it?
No. Because so the
so they would make this stage.
Yeah. So the sanctionals that happened
confusing.
in 2020, the beginning, and I think Dubai was the first one, and then we had the I'm not sure if it was the Panda Challenge or the China. Yeah, Panda Land. That one, that was one of the first ones also, and then COVID started kicking off. Waterpalooza happened this year too, so you had the two big ones.
Oh, Gold Coast happened.
Did it?
They just had Gold Coast.
That's right, because it was empty. Yeah. It was at the empty seats.
And then I remember some of the athletes were flying back. That was just before it was kicking off. Yeah. And then some of the athletes were flying back home from the Gold Coast. I think there were a couple from who lived in Dubai.
Yeah.
And on the flights home, it was almost empty.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So anyway, this whole season is just too confusing and it's a bit of a schmozzle unless you're Nick and follow every step.
Even then,
tell me, explain what happened next, which is I think they called stage 2. You can tell.
Yeah. Well, so what was it? 2 weeks ago, stage 1 happened. So the games, similar to the Rogue Invitational, went to an online format where each athlete was given the workout, had a time frame to complete the workout, could only complete the workout one, had CrossFit Games judge in their affiliate, and
Okay, so there are 30 males, 30 females, basically an open format, 6 workouts.
Yep.
And Harriet, the trainer at the gym here, obviously did it. Feel a bit for her. She's been trying to make the games for ages, and she did. Through her open result, but
no, she qualified.
She
China.
won
the sanctional.
China event, and then COVID hit, and then she's not able to go to the US for the games, but she got to do the qualifier. Amazing effort there for sure. Came as a result 9th in the handstand hold. No surprise there. She's very good at handstand holding. And we had a couple other Aussies.
Yeah, I think Baden Brown was.
He was up there for a while.
Out. Yeah, definitely.
As a male.
Yeah.
Well, besides Tia.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we count? The American seems to count Tia as an American now because she lives over there.
Yeah, no,
it's definitely not.
Sorry, guys.
So Cara and Baden were in the top 5 for a little bit, so they were very close to qualifying to the next stage.
Jay Crouch was up there too. He had some good workouts. But,
he was actually really surprising. He was killing it.
Yeah.
And then Khan, obviously.
Yeah.
I wish
crush the row.
I got to see him do that 1K row. As soon as they announced that workout, I was like, the funniest person to watch would probably be Khan.
Yeah.
Can go hard on the rower. Okay, so any other takeaways from this? Sorry, what did you call? Is that stage 1?
So that was stage 1 that they did,
and 6 workouts.
Yeah, and then stage 2 happened on the 19th, which is the live. Those top 5. So the top 5 athletes, male and female, get to go to Aromas and compete.
Yeah, OG. Okay, let's stay with stage 1 because it's just happened. Some takeaways from stage 1. Maybe go through the athletes that have qualified.
So the top 5 athletes on the women's side was Toomey, Wells, Haley Adams, Katrin Davis-Daughter, and Carrie Pierce. Then on the men's side, no surprise, Matt Frazier, Noah Olson, Justin Medeiros, Samuel Quant, and Jeffrey Adler.
There you go. Justin Medeiros. You guys have to look him up.
Yeah.
He has the most impressive mullet you will ever see, and I really hope that features in the next stage.
But for me, some things that we kind of grazed over. No team competition this year, so the teams were scrapped from the games.
No masters.
No teens.
Yeah.
Buster's been training so hard for yet again nothing.
Yeah.
Just kidding, Buster.
But
keep training. We'll come back to the Masters later on.
What was a great insight, and you mentioned that Harriet coaches here, which was really interesting watching the lead up to the games and having a little bit of an inside line with how they were handling the constant changing and
were you just harassing her with questions every day?
Every time, because it is. You never get to see what, and it wasn't an easy process. Like, hey, on this day in September, we're going to have an online competition. It was. They're going to be at the Roma, so it was going to be here, and then postpone.
Yeah,
and the format kept changing. And for an athlete who
Yeah.
This is the world
Yeah,
championships.
the question, do you have a 400-metre running track near you? Some athletes do, some athletes don't. Some athletes are in the middle of winter where it's snowing. Some athletes, it's boiling hot. It's like so many logistics around that.
And I think for me, a big takeaway from stage one was it was not very exciting at all to watch. I mean, some of the individual competitions, yes, it's an amazing feat of athleticism. Matt Fraser doing the friendly Fran in 3 minutes, 6 or 9 seconds is mind-boggling. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do the chest to bars in that time.
Yeah, I think that's if you're going to go back and watch anything from stage one, just go and watch the video of Matt Fraser doing that workout.
Mind-blowing.
3 rounds of 21 thrusters at 115 or 50 kilos and 21 chest to bars. And he does it like it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's crazy to watch.
Yeah. I think what was good to watch during that stage one is I do feel like there was a bit of a return of the CrossFit media. So you had Sean Woodland and sorry, who was the name of his co-host?
Tommy Marquez?
No. It was a woman. Name escapes me. But
just like an OG CrossFitter as well. Yeah. But it felt like, the old school CrossFit style productions where they would summarize and recap everything and give a bit of commentary. So that was good. Like that was quite watchable. But to watch the events themselves compared to Rogue, who did do a full online competition, everyone did the events together at the same time.
Yeah.
So, you could watch the event side by side.
To me, that was a big takeaway. Like, I love CrossFit. I love watching CrossFit. Watching someone work out.
Yeah.
On their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I can appreciate it. But after a minute or two, I'm like, all right, next.
Yeah. I didn't mind. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Cal touched on the Rogue Invitational. Logistic nightmare, but all the athletes together, like on a Zoom call, doing the workout at the same time. So athletes around the world, some are in the middle of the night, some are in the middle of the day. Unfortunately, that's the price to pay. But the event itself, okay, you are watching a race. You're watching people go for it. And the thing for the athletes, after that feedback, they were always redlining because they couldn't tell the person next to them.
You can't pace off anyone.
So that aspect of competing and not being able to see someone, but you are racing them. I thought it was great. I enjoyed that because everyone just went.
Yeah, you want to watch it as a sport, not as just someone working out. Yeah. I didn't mind Castro's explanation of it though. Whereas, he explained it actually quite well. Where Rogue put a premium on the viewing experience for the spectator, and they made it exciting to watch, despite all the challenges around, restrictions about traveling and not being able to compete in the same place. And in CrossFit's defense, they put together this stage one in a very short amount of time, and they put a premium on the athlete experience. So they wanted them to be able to compete at an optimal time for them locally where they live. It's 30 athletes, 60 athletes all up, and allow them to perform at the best of their ability. Instead of some people having to do a workout at 2 a.m. at night, and some people get to do it at 10 a.m. in the morning.
That's not fair.
I do agree. Yeah, I agree.
Well, the difference being that the Rogue Invitational is not crowning the fittest on earth.
That's right.
When you put that moniker on it, you have a certain. You have to
have a responsibility to try and live up to that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Or no one. The community is so quick to criticize.
There's always, it's a tough call because there's always going to be a drawback with whichever way they choose to do it. I think having done stage one, and putting the athlete premium, the athlete experience at the top, what they have the opportunity to do now, which is super exciting, is to make the games really fun to watch because there's only 10 athletes all up, 5 males, 5 females.
Yeah.
And he's already said they're going to put heats together where all 10 of those compete.
Yeah.
So really the most interesting battle at the games for me is going to be Matt against Tia. Not if Matt and Tia wins because they're going in as such big favorites. But I think that'd be actually awesome to watch.
Yeah.
I love it when they do co-ed events. The run, swim, run at Madison was so cool. That was sick.
Yeah.
And Tia was killing it.
Smash the guys.
As we don't know anything about the format, I have been watching. So he has been testing last week. He was testing in Aromas. He had from Ohio. What's her name?
Stacey Tovar.
Aramo?
Yeah. She had Christian Ramo and who was the little brother, Cole Sager's brother. or he had
No, the other one, the Panchek.
Yep.
Panchek.
Saxon.
Oh,
Panchek.
Saxon.
Yep. So they were testing events.
Oh, games workouts.
Yeah.
Sick.
And there was at least a run. I could see they're definitely testing a run. They're in the pool.
I saw a picture of an obstacle course going up.
Yeah. So
Dang. It's all things you can do male and female combined heats.
Yeah.
Okay. So another thing I wanted to go through, which actually, I mean, like we said, I didn't follow stage one very well because it wasn't very exciting to watch, but I do like to leaderboard geek a little bit. And the 6th place finishers, both in the male and female category, missed out on the game spot by 2 points. And in a field of 30, that is so close. So it would have actually been super exciting. I think the workouts were great because that's, it actually would have been a race, a really tight race.
Did you watch any of the videos when they announced? So there's a bunch of athlete videos of all the athletes together.
I watched Carrie Pierce getting announced.
And again, so anticlimactic. They put it up and everyone's like, who trying to read the screen.
So when they knew who were going. Yeah, I watched Haley Adams' video. It was just awkward. They all need to, they need to work on the celebrations, but I think celebrating an announcement just locally at YouTube is a bit weird anyway. Okay, so who are we picking here out of the, besides Toomey and Fraser, who's going to do well at the games? I think one thing you already mentioned is that, especially on the male side, there's a lot of names that the, general punter wouldn't really know that well. Yeah. The female side is all familiar names for most of us.
I like the female side. I think the female side is going to be a much tighter competition than the guys, as it always is. I think it's going to be better to watch. Brooke Wells was really close to Toomey, so
I think it's going to be challenging,
she could give it a nudge.
Because at the games there'll be so much outdoorsy stuff. I think Toomey is way better at that than Brooke. So I actually will disagree with that. I actually think the male side will be a little bit closer. But the female side, I think Toomey is going to run away with it.
I actually think Haley Adams will get second. She'll come through because she has that athleticism. There's a certain thing when you talk about fitness and working out in a gym, but there's this athleticism that comes into play during the games that factor 6 that you don't really take it. And Haley Adams has that. She's just a gifted athlete.
I think what she has from watching some of the videos, I have no idea. I don't know her, of course, but she has what we call the mongrel in her. And she's 19.
Yeah.
And that's something you cannot teach, or at least it takes a long time. And she already has it by the looks of it at 19. I think she rode a 320 1K in stage 1. That is crazy.
She's on that special water they've got at CrossFit Mayhem.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Don't discount Carrie Pierce. No. She has been a leader at the games. Yeah. I think last year she was a leader or the year before for quite a few events.
It's funny. So would you say that all these workouts were gymnastic based, that those are a lot of the gymnasts that have done well? So Wells was a youth gymnast. Davis' daughter, Pierce, those are all, I don't know Haley's background if she was a gymnast too, but those are all the backgrounds of those three that...
so you're saying stage 1 was gymnastic heavy?
Yeah, not necessarily, but the skill set?
I think Carrie Pierce is going to struggle a bit at the games, because she, especially with the running and swimming and stuff, compared to the other girls. I don't know. So, okay, let's do this question. Who's going to come second after Tia?
Adams. I think Haley Adams, for sure.
Cal?
I don't know. Like I said, I think it's going to be really tight. If I was going to pick an outsider, or maybe Carrie Pierce, just for...
Okay. Well, I think I'd say Katrin. Yep. Who's going to beat... Okay, here's another question on the female side. Who is going to beat Tia in anything strength-based on the barbell? Because
Wells, maybe, but no.
But she hasn't really lately, hey?
No.
I think... Tia, didn't she clean and jerk 270?
272, yeah, in the Rogue. Yeah.
That's crazy, because she is, going into that, you think on paper, she's the strongest on the barbell, and she's the best runner and best swimmer. Is she? Yeah, she is,
Yeah, I'd put it at that, yeah.
Wow. Okay, on the male side, Nick, run us through all these people that I don't know who they are.
Well, Matt Fraser, obviously, I don't think anyone's going to argue that he's going to win this again. And then Noah Olsen was second, and I think he'll be second in this.
I agree.
After his
100%.
games performance, he's a 6 times game athlete. He constantly is just at the top of all the competitions.
Will, in this format here and with 5 male athletes, will Noah Olsen beat Fraser in any workout?
Yeah, I don't see one.
What type of workout do you think?
What did he crush him in? He crushed him in that muscle up sled push last year at the games. And that was, I just remember that as a standout. And
what was the triplet they did? Olsen beat him in that triplet. It was really tight.
Oh, in the stadium, in the Coliseum.
Yeah.
I think when it's a bit gymnastic, lean more towards gymnastics, I think is better. I think he beat him in the handstand hold, for instance.
Yeah.
Handstand push-ups he might be better at. I'm not sure, to be honest. Yep. Okay. Next 3,
well, and then
the juniors.
Yeah,
far out.
I think Sam Quat's not that young. He's been around. He's one of the comp train. I think he's been around. I would almost say he's been around for a long time. He's always kind of floated around.
He's been at the games. Yeah. He is 24.
24. Yeah.
It's pretty young.
Yeah.
Pretty darn young. Okay, so Samuel Kwon is not an... I do remember his name from the games.
Yeah. And he's always at sanctionals. I remember last year he kind of made the round as wanting to turn that corner of, professional CrossFit athlete. But he's, to me, he will be going to the games with Wells and Ben Bergeron and have the whole comp train behind them. And they did a great video. Was the Buttery Bros? They went and did a day of training with him, and he's the real deal. He's
sure he is. I feel like we skipped one here though.
Oh, Justin Medeiros.
Yeah, he came third after stage 1.
Yeah, and he's
21 years old.
Yeah, he was a former teen. I don't know if he won the games as a teen, as a 17-year-old.
I think he did.
Yeah. And he's a unit. He's fit.
He front squatted 437 pounds. I don't know if we have enough plates in our gym to
do that.
Front squat that way. 437.
I couldn't even look at that as a deadlift. It's like
he actually beat Fraser in the front squat. Yeah. That's pretty hectic. Yeah. Justin Medeiros, he is 5'8", so he's just a little bit taller than Fraser. So a small little nugget, and he's
a foot taller than Fraser.
Yeah, 1 inch taller, and he's actually a little bit lighter. He's 190 pounds. Well, that's what they're registered at.
Yeah. So, but to me, he's him and Haley Adams are the next generation.
Young guns.
Yeah, sure. And this, if you want to take anything as just a general out of this leaderboard, I think you've seen it's a change. So the Patrick Vellners, the Brent Fikowskis, that
the Canadians have had their day.
They've had their day.
Well, let's not. So 5th place here.
Adler.
Jeffrey Adler snuck in at 5th, 2 points ahead of Chandler Smith.
Yeah.
He is Canadian.
Is he Canadian?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Fellow countryman.
Yeah. He's 26.
Yeah. Always a bit older.
Wow, older. You say that, 26. So just why I'm so obsessed with
what's
age.
What's the median age, though?
Well,
I think, 'cause
in the top 5, Fraser and Noah Olsen are respectively 30 and 29. So they're, Fraser just hit 30. And then the next 3 are 21, 24, and 26. I'd say like 20, it's pretty young.
Mid-20s. Yeah, but Toomey's 24, right?
No. Okay, I'll tell you before we argue about something there's actually a fact there. But she's definitely not 24. She is 26.
26. All right. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, she's a bit younger than I thought actually. Because she's been around for so long. Anyway, I feel like the field is getting younger than what it used to be.
Yeah.
And their strength numbers, because I always thought, the younger generation isn't going to do that well in the strength stuff, but that's clearly not true at all.
The big unknown as Fraser does get a little bit older is just injuries. Injuries are going to start to creep in. There was an injury where he didn't compete in
Rogue Invitational. Yeah.
Was it Rogue? Yeah. So he pulled out of that, stepped out of that. Apparently something minor, but still. And then you just need, in that stage 2, you need one little thing to happen, like he pulls something and then it opens right up.
But I would like to think that Fraser and Toomey are going to have the best team behind them as athletes as anyone has ever had at any time in CrossFit. As in the backup, the support staff that they have as professional athletes is second to none.
Shane's the MVP. Is that what we're saying?
Well, yeah. And old mate, what's Fraser's coach? What's his name?
Isn't Shane programming for them?
Well, it's so weird.
I don't know.
They train a lot together.
I think he's a coach. Shane coaches both of them.
Yeah, but who's old mate that was giving Fraser the massage?
His manager.
Yeah, manager.
Gave him a massage. Okay. Cool.
Keith O. Someone?
Yep.
O'Keefe.
Yeah. He's the wanted to start up that.
He's very hands-on.
Yeah.
He's a very hands-on manager.
He was the one that was going to put out that athletes association or like the
PFFA or whatever it's called.
Which was established.
It is established, yeah. Okay, so more importantly, we've gone through top five male and females that's going to Aromas to compete. Castro said it's going to be the hardest games ever, which he says every year, but I'm sure it actually will be really hard. Toomey and Fraser will have to work dang hard regardless to actually win. I don't think it's going to be cruisy.
Yeah, but I think
that's just the nature of the
programs
events.
though to their strengths.
Oh, why would he do that?
I don't know, because they're the poster children of CrossFit.
I don't. It'd be so hard to just sit there and think, okay, my strategy is going to be to like program to their strengths. I don't think he thinks about that. He just thinks like, I'm just going to have these events. It's what he calls the anchors. They're going to be in there, and then he programs around it. It's just hard for other people to beat those two, I think.
I think it's really hard for us to sit here, and he has such a depth of knowledge and the history of all the times he's programmed events. And he is, if you listen to him, he knows the breakdowns and times, and he studies events after the fact and goes through and he nitpicks everything about
He has more spreadsheets than you, Nick.
Oh, probably.
But hey, more importantly, what I wanted to say is, how can we watch this? Because I'm actually quite excited to watch the games.
Yeah.
Which I've gone from.
Is it next week?
Yeah, so it's on the 19th.
Yes, that's why we're doing this podcast. That's why we're doing it, and it's so we went from having a gazillion athletes to having very few athletes. And I was kind of excited for both of those things. I don't know, it's very different. But anyway, it's what I was trying to say before. It is going to be on YouTube. That's probably where I would recommend to watch it.
Well, I think
CBS is screening it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the ease of use, besides YouTube, is just on social media, on Instagram. I just follow the links and go straight from there.
Yeah.
But it's hard for us.
Facebook.
It's hard for us in Australia. We'll be getting the feeds in the middle of the night. The timing of it all doesn't really work.
Yeah. Just go on the CrossFit Games website. I think they've probably had a bit more traffic lately than what they had a few months ago. But are they still winning $200 gazillion? $270 thousand?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. So I had a look. We forgot to talk about that. When all this stuff happened earlier in the year, with Glassman kind of really putting the nail in the coffin for himself, not only did the affiliates and athletes drop down, but the sponsors all fell off as well.
That's true. Yep.
And now on the CrossFit Games website, the only two sponsors that are left are Rogue and Reebok.
Yeah.
And surprisingly Reebok, because I'm pretty sure they announced they weren't going to sponsor it either after the thing.
I thought...
After the Glassman tweets.
Same, but I thought it ran out this year.
I thought, yes, I agree. So
could be the last
Reebok
year?
is still not... Well, yes, I think it's either the last year or I think they were already out.
Yeah.
So they continued to support the games this season. They're on the website.
Yeah.
I guess a pretty cheap year.
Yeah.
And logistically a lot easier. Send some apparel out to 60 athletes for stage 1 and then you have 5 athletes in stage 2. But what do we think is going to happen with the sponsorship of the games? Predictions.
I actually I haven't really thought about it too much because I think Rogue. I think for me, when this all kicked off, I just thought Rogue was going to buy the whole thing and take it all.
That's what we're all wishing for.
So then I was like, oh well, that would be great. The Rogue Invitational. We've seen how well they can manage and run the media side of it because they've just basically taken the same format from the games, and it looks and it does well. And I think that it could have been great. So after what's happened with COVID and all the changes, I really haven't thought about it too much. What's going to happen?
I would like to see a Rogue Nike combo. So Rogue is the headline sponsor, the Rogue CrossFit Games. And it makes sense. I mean, all of their gear.
But do you need
is
an
there.
apparel, though? I mean, to me, it's like Rogue is CrossFit. They're so intrinsically linked that they could take it all on, and then you just open it up.
I think for the visual of the games, I think it just makes it look that much more professional when everyone's in uniforms and there's some consistency in the uniforms. Just from a visual.
I think they do need an apparel partner for sure.
Yeah.
And I think about all the smaller sponsors as well. And I'm saying smaller, but they're still in with a pretty big financial contribution. They still add a lot of stuff to the event. I think we do need to see a lot of the sponsors come back or at least be replaced by someone else. Having 2 sponsors, that's not a lot. No. Remember, we looked at even just having a spot on the open show and just be, the slot sponsor of one episode or whatever it was. Like even that was very expensive. I can't remember the numbers, but that used to be a Salt Air Bike, a Rosti, Romwad, all these things, and
pure
everything
Spectrum.
is just, yep.
Hook us up.
and they're all just gone now. Yeah, I'd like to see a lot of them come back.
One thing that we haven't seen very much of is what 2021 is going to look like. And they may be working in the background. I cannot imagine that Rosa and Castro will not have some kind of, at least an idea of what 2021 is going to look like. But
Those talks will be well underway.
Well, he's already said it's February to August is the season again.
Yep.
Yeah.
But how do you plan as a business and a sponsor? How do you outlay your season where you can't fly or go anywhere?
Yeah. Well, logistically, we don't know.
Yeah. So
much uncertainty.
I think, I just think there's probably a lot of things in talks, but nothing's in certain, because how do you know? New world we live in.
Well, I think what we can be fairly certain of is I think it's going to be a normal open in February.
Yeah.
So back to the old schedule. End of
I'm
February,
happy about
week
that.
1. Yeah, me too.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's nice
Yeah.
after Christmas and summer and, really good.
Yeah.
Eating a lot. I always found that was a really good time just
Yeah.
to kind of
And the open
refocus on the
format,
fitness.
they can run at the current state globally, I think.
Yeah.
For most, I'm actually not even sure if their gyms are open back in the US. And
Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit different in that I reckon the programming will have to take into account social distancing and probably the use of equipment, because for affiliates to have to run and do open workouts with such a large number of people, it has to be. It's just the new normal, that how they're going to do it.
what a nightmare.
Yeah, it is 100. Well, it's the new normal, man. So,
Do you think they will bring into the open the finish line?
what do you mean?
So in stage 1, all the games athletes, they had a finish line. So they had to finish the workout and run. And I think usually it was over the barbell or something.
Yeah.
And someone fell to the floor after the chest to bar pull-ups in the friendly friend version and forgot to run. I think actually one of the guys that made it was that person.
Might have been Adler.
Yeah, and it was Adler because he fell to the ground, died, and then remembered he had to run, so he got back up, run across the line, and I think if he was 2 seconds later, he would not have made the games. It was some crazy story like that.
Yeah, but to me, that's just like finishing anything. I mean, he's got to read the workout. It's just the structure. But I like it, and
my question is, do we think would it work in the open?
Yeah.
Why
not?
Oh, no. I think because the gyms are laid out so differently. It's just,
I don't know. If you've got somewhere to go to and cross the line, it's easy for a judge.
I would like to see it, but I think it's hard.
Everyone have the space.
Yeah. I do.
small gyms out there.
If there's one positive from 2020, that whole running and finishing and having to hit a button or hit something is nice from a spectator's point of view. Because CrossFit obviously can get a bit confusing of where people are at when how you're staging and how that event can work out. Yep. And Wodapalooza did it. A lot of the sanctionals now do it. So could become the new standard, new normal.
Yep.
Yeah. And another positive from the year is apparently for 2021, Masters is back on. Good news for some
Yeah.
Frothers at the gym.
Yeah, definitely.
It is.
Yeah.
Buster Brooks, it's your year.
2021, it's definitely going to happen. So Buster can qualify in 2021 if it goes to, by the sounds of it, they're going to take 20, maybe even 30, or maybe back to 10.
I don't think there'll be 30.
Game.
Only having been to the games and been in the age group pavilion, as they call it. I mean, they've got 20 competing at the same time, and that's a lot. It's really hard to follow. Yeah. Like, if they had 30, I just don't know.
I think 20 is probably the number they'll end up on. Yeah. 10, it feels like a bit too few. It's like, we're doing all this effort for 10 athletes. Let's maybe get 20. So top 20 Buster, 2021. Yep. Matty Cav will be keen as well.
100%. Well, even Zenek for sure. It's getting that top 200 to qualify from the Open.
Even more motivation to train hard. Double days, here we come.
On.
But how good has the gym been since we were open? Hey.
So
thank
good.
God.
Yeah. Everyone's been such a good mood, and we're training as normal here now. It's great.
I just love dropping the barbell. Dropping a heavy barbell from overhead. It's not feeling like it.
How about just having a barbell? I'll take just using a barbell.
When did you drop a heavy barbell?
Friday.
I didn't think it was that heavy.
Every time I come in.
Kidding. It's the same for me.
It's heavy for me.
I have not dropped a heavy barbell in a long time, but I've dropped a barbell with some plates on it. All right. Anything else we missed out on? We're almost at the end of the year. There's a couple months left, and it's going in the right direction, I feel like.
Yeah. Never say never. Anything can happen.
I mean, poor guys in Melbourne. Yeah, they're still battling. Gyms are not open there, so we should preface it with saying that we're very, very lucky up here in Sydney.
Yeah. I think we appreciate it everything a lot more, especially having to train at home.
Yeah.
For me, in a carport, and then how good was it just to be able to come train in the parking lot here?
Yeah, with other people.
Yes, and just being able to have that sense of training with community, getting back into I think for a lot of people, it's just a sense of normalcy, part of your routine again, getting life back on track. So being able to come in here is...
I mean, since the actual indoor gym opened again, I reckon it's almost been the best winter we've ever had. The amount of people, the energy, it's been incredible.
I think if you ask Sean and Tash, there's quite a few new faces, a lot of new people. I think it was probably business-wise very good, because I think a lot of people used the break to, you know what, I'm going to try something new. And
Well, it was good for when they opened it back up, but then they had quite a few months where it wasn't so good. So I mean, hopefully we'll have a great summer as well.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I think that's a wrap for the first episode of the new era.
Good to be back.
Hopefully everyone enjoyed our froth of the games. Can't wait to watch it, really. And we might have to do a post-games episode.
Yeah, I think we do.
We will.
Recap.
Little wrap up.
Sure.
Yep.
Excellent. All right.
Nice
guys, see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To watch more videos like this, you can click the next one right up here. And if you want to subscribe, click the link down here.